The goal today is to showcase our newest planner features, specifically team capacity management. My name is Dua. I'm the Training and Learning Program Manager here at Tempo, and my main focus is to make sure that all of our learning initiatives are valuable and efficient for all of you, our customers and our partners. We've got one of our senior product experts, Susan, answering your questions in the background. And for our main presenter today, Mayank, I will hand it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dua. And welcome everyone. I'm Mayank Agarwal. I'm the product manager for our planner by Tempo product. And today I'll be talking about some of the latest features that we have been working on, and some of it is already released, and some of them are in our Tempo lab, that is the early access program. And and I'm hoping to have like a productive conversation and learn more about your use cases and see if that is aligned to the way we are shaping this product. Today's topic, we will be starting with an overview of our product, Tempo Planner, and then we will dive a little bit deep into the team capacity management features and the importance of team capacity management. And then I'll also give a live demo of our new products, mainly team planning and organizational and team capacity dashboards. And then towards the end, we will have a Q&A session. You can also ask questions in chat, and we have a product expert answering the questions. So let's get started. So I think I'm just gonna go off video just to sure. Okay. So our Tempo Planner is a versatile and a powerful solution designed for mainly for resource planners and like users in an organization who are in charge of their team's capacity or making sure their teams are set up for success. And some of the key use cases that we have noticed are from the professional services side of the house, where you can effortlessly plan and manage resources across multiple client projects, and you can streamline these project timelines and make sure your resources are allocated optimally to maximize your billable services. And then also we have professional services features where you can gain some real-time insights into your resources availability and utilization so that you can maximize the profitability. So historically, Planner has been a go-to tool for our professional services clients. And then earlier this year, we started on this journey to also support agile teams, the teams that are mainly self-managed. And we've been building features to support some of the challenges that agile teams face. And they're mainly about sprint planning and making sure there is enough capacity and for the project execution. So for Tempo Planner, it's really important that we enable agile teams to make sure tasks and user stories and high-level plans are visualized and properly, and team managers can allocate resources optimally, right? And there are a lot of things that we will cover today, and I'm really excited. And the goal here is to focus more on the agile teams today. Perfect. Yeah. So today I'll be covering mostly our new features, and they are around team planning side. So before I go into the features and actually showing you how to make the most of it, I wanted to just cover some of the key areas to highlight why team capacity management is important. I mean, the obvious reason is, of course, like to make sure your projects are successful, and then the organization is growing, you have enough capacity, and you can plan your resources better. But some of the benefits are also around making sure your project planning is smooth and like there are no bottlenecks, or if you have bottlenecks, you can identify and address them quickly. You can enhance your resource utilization to make sure where everybody is working without any stress. If people are overbooked, it's not a good way, and I think it's a risk for project delivery as well. And you can also effectively balance workload, more and more teams are geographically spread nowadays, and then it's really important to make sure you consider the regional holidays and things like that, and make sure everybody is available for your project delivery, and that you can gain from the real-time resource insights. And a lot of focus is also on the agile part of this software delivery, where agile teams can accurately plan and adjust their sprint workloads based on their team capacity, leading to successful sprint execution. So we have some really exciting features to cover in the next couple of slides. Okay, so I have next couple of slides just highlighting some of the new features that we have been working on, and then I will also start giving you a live demo and share some of the tips to set these screens up for success. So here we have a team planning view. Now, folks who are familiar with Planner by Tempo know that we have been the go-to capacity management product for professional services teams, and historically Planner has been a very user-centric planning tool. Earlier this year, we launched this new team planning view where you can visualize multiple teams, and these are your Tempo teams that I will also cover later. But the best thing about this view, and I use it all the time, is how easy it is to visualize more than one team here. So if you're a leader or a manager within your organization, and you are in charge for making sure your multiple teams are successful or they are optimized for delivery, you can easily add as many teams as you want here. And these purple blocks here, these are high-level team plans. You can see I have engineering team here, green energy, and product team. So I'm currently in the weeks view, and here I can also expand a particular team and see all the resources that are part of that team. I can see whether they are shared between different teams, or if they have any individual allocations or plans, things like vacations or training, things that are not part of your team plan, but they're individual plans, can also be visualized here. So actually, this is my go-to view internally, and I will talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. And then this is something that we have recently launched in Tempo Labs. There's our early access program. We'll share the details in the last slide. But if you notice here, we are in Tempo team, and we are looking at this new capacity overview. Internally, we are calling it centralized capacity dashboards. So here again, like the team planning view, you can add multiple teams that you're concerned about, and you have a snapshot of all their key metrics, like how many team members are there, team size, what is planned for this particular quarter. There's currently only showing you a quarterly insights, and you can see how much of that work is in progress or completed, and you will have a little bit more team-specific insight when you dive into a particular team. So for example, if I click next, then I should be going into a particular team. And here, all the team plans, these are epics that are assigned to this Tempo team, will be displayed here. Their effort, that is in FTE, full-time equivalents, and the status and the prioritized priority. So you can have as many epics as you want, but you can quickly gain an understanding of the operational efficiency of your team here, and you can pinpoint bottlenecks. So for example, in this screenshot, you can see I have this engineering team where actually this is filtered for developers. So I have 4 developers in this team. 1.51 is their block time on individual tasks, and then the availability for this quarter is 2.49. But I have actually planned 5 FTE worth of work. This is not ideal, but again, I will cover that in detail, like how to optimize this for making sure that your teams are successfully delivering what you plan. Again, these 2 features, like organizational level team capacity dashboard and team capacity dashboard, are currently in Tempo Lab. We plan to release it in early August. So please give it a try and share your feedback. And then we are also working internally on another exciting feature, that is team capacity indicators. Now, team capacity indicator is available inside the team planning view, where you can quickly identify using these visual indicators about your team's capacity and the allocation. Now, green here is showing you that your team has enough work, right, for them to do, and they can successfully execute that. Whereas red means that you have overbooked your team, and then yellow is underutilized team, right? Your team can do more, but currently it's not allocated to that. So this is work in progress. We haven't fully flushed out this. We have some of the work is in progress right now. But again, this is lined up for Q3 this year. I'm very excited to share that as well. Now, I think there's a section where I'll be giving you a live demo. Just want to make sure my screen is still visible to you.
It is, Mayank. Looking
Awesome.
good.
Cool. So here I have 2 tabs here. Actually, let me move this thing. Okay. So as you can see, I am inside Tempo view inside the Jira iframe. Now, let's start with Planner. So most of the current users are familiar with our resource planning, where you have a very user-centric view, and you can look at all the plans for individual resources. You can use different filtering option. You can filter this view by users. Right now, I've just filtered for myself. You can select teams, roles, generic resources, etc. And you have other features like you can import from Jira directly. You have report, which is I think timesheet users who also have Planner. They rely heavily on our plan versus actual report, which is I think the most used report for Planner. And but today's agenda is more about team planning. So if you come here for the first time, you will be greeted by an empty screen, and it talks about some of the steps that you need to take to make sure your teams are properly set up. I have some of the mandatory fields already set up, but I'll also go through that. But I quickly wanted to show you how this would look if you select multiple teams. So for now, I'm going to select these 2 teams, engineering team and green energy. Now, when I select these teams, I will be shown a view where I have these 2 teams, and I'm currently just looking at a quarterly view. So you can see all these epics, all these boxes are team plans that are essentially epics assigned to this particular Tempo team. And there is also effort that is coming from original estimates in these Jira epics. And then you have a start date and due date that is making this as a team plan. You can also easily move these epics team plans around. You can adjust the timelines here. You can expand the timelines by dragging any of the sites, or you can just move it completely. So it's very intuitive. You can also filter by epics that are by the epic status, whether if you have a lot of stuff like me, you can see what epics are in progress so that you can maximize the screen. And then another cool thing about this is you can drill down into monthly view, or you can go into weeks view, which also enables you to expand your teams to see your team members and their individual plans. So this is only available in the weeks view, and the month and quarterly view are more for longer term planning. And here you can see, like, I have engineering team with a bunch of resources here, and all of them have some individual tasks assigned to them. You can also create more work for them directly. You can plan time directly for them, your resources. So let's say I just create some generic plan, 8 hours per day for Taylor, and this plan is scoped to this particular engineering team. So this team scoping is useful if you have shared resources. So for example, Taylor right now is, I'll hit save later, but let's say Taylor is shared between these different teams. She's part of engineering team, product team, active users, and green energy. Now, let's take a deep look here. So I have green energy team. If I expand this, I will also see Taylor here. Oops. So if I create a plan directly from here and let me select some task, 8 hours per day. And this plan I'm creating only for green energy team. So this way, her task will not be reflected for other teams. So you can see it's not available, like displayed here, because I created that plan scope for a particular team. Now, if I want this to be a generic plan, imagine if it's a vacation, which is not for a particular team, but it's kind of like an organizational plan. So I can just update it or create it separately, where you will see Taylor having this plan now, right? So I'm going to delete it just to keep the data clean. So that's the beauty of this week's view, where you can look at your team's plan as well as your individual resources. So I'm going to quickly collapse these and go to our quarterly view. Now you will see these numbers FTE. Want to quickly touch upon that, how this is being populated and how to set up this. So first of all, these teams are tempo teams that you will be accessing from here. And if you have access, you can create any team here. And you need to add that team into the Jira Epic when you assign a team plan. And I'll go over that as well. So you can see here, I have a bunch of teams set up for my company. And now if I go back to team planning view, in the team view, you can see for Q1 next year, for an engineering team and green energy team, I have some team plans, right? Now, let's say I want to add another plan, team plan for a new project for Q1 for a particular team, let's say engineering team. So I will demonstrate that. So I have a new project, AWS migration, for example, and I have created an epic here. Now you notice I don't have this tempo team set up here. I don't have start date, due date, anything. And this, I want to make sure that AWS 2, this particular team plan, is visualized for one of the teams. How do I do that? First of all, I have to configure some of the mandatory fields in order to populate the team plan in the team planning view. So I'll go to the Jira configuration issue screen. And here I will quickly search for tempo team, drag it and move it to either context field or description field. And you can learn more about that in our help center material. And in order to capture the effort, I also need to add, time tracking field so that I can capture effort into this. Now, if I save these changes and go back to my issue there, you can see I have okay, wait a minute. I think I had tempo team here. Yep. Yeah. So I will remove this team for now. So let's say I assign this to engineering team, and I will be giving it a due date and start date. So I'm planning it for, say, Q1 next year, somewhere, let's say March 6th. Now I have start date, due date, and tempo team. You just need all these three fields in order to visualize your plan here. So right now I can just use this sync with Jira. It should be populating here. You can see initial assessment, AWS has populated here. Now, how do I add effort into this? So at this point, it's something that I'm planning for the next year, Q1. And based on your early analysis or your discussion with your engineering team, I can quickly ask them how much effort it would take, right, to help me with my planning. So let's say my team gives me an estimate into FTE, or you can also add that into your original estimate field here. So it can be something like, oh, it's going to take us 4 weeks, right? 4 weeks would translate into 160 hours based on your standard 40 hours per week. And again, when I sync here, you can see it will automatically convert that time, 160 hours, into FTE. And I can edit these things directly from here. So let's say it's going to take 2 FTE. Like later, if you change this estimate, it's very flexible that way. Then it will just show you the 2 FTE here. Now, this team planning view works very well with our new capacity dashboards that are available here, right? Again, so when you come here for the very first time, it will be an empty screen, which will show you some nice callouts highlighting the key value proposition. And team is already available to all the timesheet customers. And if you have Planner, you can get started right away. Add your teams. So for example, I will add my engineering team, I have green energy team, and I can add as many teams as I want here. But for this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and add these 2 teams. Now let's look at Q1 next year as a capacity. So as you see, I have added 3 epics. So I can also filter or remove the filter for now, just to show you the true size of my team. So I have 6 members in my engineering team, 7 members in my green energy team. Not everybody is a developer, so you can also use this filter by role. If you are looking for if you are looking into a particular role and its capacity, you can easily filter. So here I'm concerned about developers. So my filtered capacity shows me that I have 4 members in my engineering team and 2 developers in green energy team. And the total is 6.09 for this quarter. Now I can go and drill into a particular team. So engineering team for Q1, I have 3 tasks or team plans, but you can see I have added some effort here, and my team's availability is 2.49 FTE for this particular quarter. And I have planned 3.48 FTE. So basically I'm setting this team for failure right here. And this is not the best practice. We don't recommend this. Ideally, it should be less than your team's availability. And now you can adjust this right from here. So either you can reduce the scope of your team plan. So let's say initially I got estimate for 160 hours. So I can update it right from here. And you can see now my total planned work is under their availability. And you would be wondering where this block time is coming from. So this block time is coming from your team members' individual allocations and holidays. So when you look at allocation FTE, it's 1.37, and there are 0.14 FTE from the holiday scheme. And these are the concepts that we have in settings, workload scheme and holiday scheme, that defines how much time a particular member has in order to support your team initiative. You can also access your team configuration page directly from here. So you can see I have Taylor, Vivian, I'm acting as a developer as well, and Eric. So these are the 4 developers that I see. You can adjust their roles, their commitment, etc. And in order for them to populate in your team planning view, you need to link these to different projects. And you can again access their timesheet, approval, permission. These are some of the concepts that you might be familiar already. Yeah, so that's basically our new features that are available in Tempo Labs. And I would be really interested in hearing some of the thoughts that you might have on this one. And if I go back to the team planning view, you can also see all the data is automatically synced between the capacity dashboard and your team planning view. Now, I can adjust the team planning view here based on if I have more teams. So let's say I don't want to change the scope of a particular plan. It's already fixed, but I do need some other teams to support me. So for example, I don't know if all these teams are set up, but let's say just for an example, if your Q1 capacity is already more than your availability, and I want to assign this to a different team. So let's say, let me add this team here. Here. So I have this team that is a new team, and I want to assign this plan instead of engineering to this team, launch team. So you can also edit your team plans directly from here. So this view is designed for supporting multiple teams, and your organizational capacity dashboards are designed for your capacity managers, portfolio managers, and leaders who manage more than one team to quickly understand your team's capacity and optimizing it for long-term planning, right? So, and again, as I said, you can add as many teams as you want. One thing that I wanted to share for the new users who would be interacting with this view for the first time, that we have created a new Learn More page here, which will talk. There is a nice video to help you set up this view, and then you can start using it. And you can always reach out to us in Tempo Lab Slack channel for more information or for sharing your feedback. So that's essentially the live demo I wanted to cover.
Mayank, I think you'll probably have to be in the product to answer most of these, but let's go ahead and start. How does the capacity planning capability within Planner handle DevOps work outside of the traditional sprint, backlog, user story world? For example, system maintenance, on-call support, participation in organization-wide disaster recovery exercises, etc. Since these are not user stories or issues in Jira, how does Planner take them into account?
Right. So I see that question from John, and I actually is one of the fundamental change that we are making in near future. We are working on a feature called generic plans. So as you notice right now, all the plans have to have a Jira issue assigned to it in order for us to really determine where this issue is and report on that. But generic plans, it's our upcoming feature, which will allow you to create high-level plans without linking it to a particular Jira issue. And we believe that planning starts much before you start creating your tickets. So I hope that should help you, John. Please reply to your question if that is something you would like to.
Also another option is if you would like to jump into the discussion, you can definitely raise your hand, go ahead and unmute you and you can jump in also. Alex asks, when are these features available for regular customers? I know we mentioned this a couple of times, but if you can go ahead and mention that as well. And then we have yes, thank you.
Sure. So as I mentioned here, so if you're talking about team planning view, it's already available. We released this in January and we are continuing to improve it. We recently introduced these filters. And again, we're relying on the feedback and to make this better. So that's that. We have a Tempo Lab program. It is our early access program. So we have already released this last week, these dashboards that I walked through earlier. So you can try that in Tempo Lab, and we are planning to release this in mid-August. So you just have to wait for a couple of weeks before trying it into your regular instance. And then Team Capacity Indicator is planned for late Q3, early Q4 this year. So that's the current timeline for these features.
All right, awesome. James is asking, how specifically are you calculating one FTE? For example, we look at billable FTE as 7 hours a day versus 8 hours a day total, with 1 hour being non-billable.
Right, so that's a good question. Actually, FTE is our standardized unit. So you will notice in the setting, we have a setting called workload scheme. So workload scheme is basically the main input that this product takes in order to calculate one FTE. So one full-time equivalent. In this case, let's say there are 82 members that are not part of any workload scheme, and there are 15 members that are part of this workload scheme. This is our default workload scheme. And if this is, in this case, I think who asked this question?
I think it was 8 hours total, with 1 hour being non-billable.
Yeah, so we don't have a way to differentiate between billable and non-billable, but this is how we calculate the workload of one FTE equals to the number that you have in your workload scheme for that user. If you have part-time users, you can also create multiple workload scheme. So part-time users can have, let's say, a different number here, or you can create as many workload scheme as you want. So for example, internally at Tempo, we have some team members in Iceland. They don't work 8 hours by regulation. They are doing 7.9 hours per day. So we have multiple workload scheme internally. I would encourage you to explore these concepts in our help center. You can also access help by the way, from Tempo help sidebar, you can go to help center and all of these things are captured in much detail there.
And we have some great links in the slide deck, which we'll also share with you as well. Another question from Sarah. I believe this is to do with something you were sharing on the screen, but let's go ahead. What if you have a team member over more than one team?
Oh, yeah, that's a very real scenario. Just not long ago, I was part of 3 different product teams. So what would happen in that case is you can add team member. So let's say let's take an example here. So you can see I have like a bunch of folks here, right? And in green energy team, I can add myself as, let's say, a business analyst. Oh, I'm already a member of this team. Oh, sorry, I did not notice. I'm here somewhere. Okay. Here I'm product manager. Because I was set to leave this team on 11th of July, it hide me because it only shows you the current team members here. But to answer your question simply, you can have members in as many teams as you want. In the team planning view, it will be displayed as, if you go to the weeks view, you will be able to see all these resources as shared. It doesn't really impact in any of the calculations as of now. And we're exploring how to advance this shared resource feature, right? For now, it's a visual indicator in your team. And for planning, it just helps you knowing whether your team member is shared across different teams. And this is also going to follow your permissions. So let's say if you have a secret team, which you don't want to show to all of your organization, you can also play around with our team permissions. And this will be showing you as anonymized team name, but it will still show you how many teams this particular resource is available in. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right. We have another question. Forecasting is an issue for service-based consulting firms like us. There is no good way to forecast using a generic resource. The current functionality is severely lacking. What enhancement do you foresee in the future for managing future capacity?
Right. I mean, I would like to understand this question better. So when currently we are looking into different forecasting capabilities. So if you guys have explored, we also have cost tracker. So when we look at the revenue forecasting, we are trying to integrate cost tracker with our planning product so that you will have a little bit more understanding of your costs associated to it. But in terms of your forecasting for a particular capacity, right now, all you can do is look at your Jira data and calculate the velocity of your team, right? And based on that, you can forecast to some degree of accuracy. But we don't have that solution right now, but we are actively researching our forecasting area for this particular planner product. We know like when teams talk about capacity, there are 2 aspects of it. One is capacity management, and then there is a capacity planning. So capacity planning is more tied towards forecasting. We also have a product called Liquid Planner in our portfolio that helps with certain degrees of forecasting and what if analysis and things like that, scenario planning. But to simply answer, forecasting is right now not supported to that level of fidelity, if you would like, but we are actively looking into that. And if you want to reach out to me directly, and we can explore the use cases, and hopefully we can come up with some solution to satisfy that.
Perfect. Okay, we do have other questions. A repeated question, actually. This team planning works only on epics? That's one of the questions.
Yes, right now, I mean, team planning works on epics as well as issues that you can see here. But yes, team plans equals all the team plans are essentially epics, because Jira's highest level of plan or issue type is a Jira epic. So we wanted to start without creating a lot of noise in this view. And we thought the team plans would be captured in the format of an epic, that is the highest form. And then the teams will break out their individual tasks in the user stories or enhancements. But generic plan that I mentioned earlier would help you create your team plans without tying it to any particular issue type, and you can add an issue type later. So that is a feature that we are currently working on in order to avoid this limitation. Just to quickly touch upon one more point, that if you notice here, you can, when you plan time for a resource, you can also plan time either on an issue or a particular project, right? So I can just create a project and plan some time for this particular user. Something similar we are also exploring to provide at a team level, where you can create plans for a particular team, either on Jira Epics or a particular project. We also have other products in our portfolio. Structure is one of the most popular portfolio management tool. We are trying to allow different ways of planning for a team. So hopefully in near future, we will support more issue types and different concepts to plan on.
Okay, great. Another question, is there a feature that visually shows an over allocated resource?
So you can, if you're looking for a particular resource, you can always go into our resource planning view, which is basically just right next to your team planning view. And you can look at, I mean, right now I've removed the filter, but you can see your red buckets are basically over allocated resources. So this is our, I think, the most visually rich view, where you can see all the resources that have more plans than their capacity, and these are overbooked and some of them are underbooked. So each cell is basically for a resource on that particular day. You can quickly visualize. We have also other features. You can connect your calendars to also include your calendar events. For example, here you can see Dua is pretty much overbooked.
That's the usual.
So yeah, I mean, this is the view you can use. And by the way, you can also use our reports. So you have plan time reports, plan versus actual report. This will also, like, for example, here is a sample screenshot for plan versus actual. You can see how much time you have planned for a particular resource and how much time they have actually logged using our timesheet by Tempo product. And then you can see the variance, time variance. And so you planned for 374 hours, actual time was 660. So your planning was not really good, or your team is logging more time than they are planning. So this report is also actually very useful if you want to drill into the data and make sure your teams are optimized for delivery.
Another fun question. Are you planning to support dark theme?
So it's really a fun one. We have started exploring dark mode. For now, the dark theme is available in your Jira issue view. So let me quickly show that. So if you go to a particular Jira issue, you can see I'm a fan of dark mode, so it's already enabled. When you add Tempo plugin in the Jira issue view, we have this. We looked into this data. I know Atlassian has recently released this dark theme, and they're making a lot of progress on that, and I'm really excited about that. But for us, we have different priorities. But again, you have plan time inside. There is a plan time model directly from the Jira issue view, and that supports the dark theme. But inside all of our products, we are not there yet. We do have a team that is exploring dark mode implementation across all our products. So stay tuned. We will let you know when we release dark mode. Personally, I'm a big fan of dark mode, so I can totally feel you there.
For organizations that have Jira tickets enabled in the initiative level of the hierarchy, does Tempo allow us to work on initiative tickets as well as epics and everything below it?
Yeah, I see that question from Amir. So let me just read it again so that I can frame it better. That I have Jira tickets enabled in the initiative level of hierarchy. So right now in the team planning view, we do only the highest hierarchy is that is supported for a team level. It's the epic. As I mentioned earlier, we have a structure product that is our, you can notice here, structure. We do support custom hierarchies here, and initiative is also one of the hierarchy you can create there. In order to leverage initiative level planning, you can use our structure, and structure has recently integrated with planner. So structure has all the plan time data for your resources. and you can visualize that information or any hierarchy you want to create inside the structure product view. And the plan time data is basically synced with structure. Right now in the team planning view, we do not anticipate creating custom hierarchies. We only look at Jira's default hierarchy. So Epic is the highest level there. But as I again mentioned, there is a feature that we're working on, generic plans. And generic plan would be basically a placeholder, if you will, where you can just create a box here, and then you can add it to any particular hierarchy level that you have. I hope that answers your question, Amir.
Can requests be submitted for team resources, not specific team members, for the team lead to then determine who the resource will be? I think that also falls within generic.
Can requests be submitted for team resource? I'm not sure what this question is trying to ask. What kind of request and what do you mean by team resource?
I'm only trying to explain the question. So if it's an anonymous attendee, so if you want to raise your hand, we can unmute you. You can jump into the discussion or retype the question. Oh, there we go. Allowed to talk.
Hello, this is Lisa. So what we need is a way for other teams to submit a request at the team level that may have 2 members or 5 members, but then let the team lead determine which resource will be on that request. And it may be multiple resources, so that the requester can decide, I want person B, I don't want person C or D on this. I want the team lead to be able to determine which resource is assigned and fulfills the request.
Now, how on earth?
Yeah,
right now, brokers
I'm getting some background noise there, but I think I understand the question. So in a typical portfolio management, you raise a request for resources and then a central team or a team lead approves or rejects that, right? So if I'm understanding correctly, Lisa, is around that workflow that you're looking for, right? The current workaround for that, sorry, go ahead. You just unmuted yourself.
Yeah, so I just don't want the requesters to request individuals. That would be totally up to the team lead. So when the request is submitted saying, I need a level 1 systems engineer for 16 hours, I need a level 2 engineer for 8 hours. But then the team lead would assign who each of those resources are.
I think there will be a new feature that we are working on, generic plans. So in that, I foresee that might satisfy your requirement there. For now, the only workaround would be, so initially I shared this, let's say if I go to a quarterly plan and I have a new work that is coming and I need to stop this. So now I don't know which team is going to work on it, right? So for me, it would be something like, oh, I don't know which team or which resource is going to work on this particular plan. For now, there's a limitation that it has to be covered here. But again, you can manage that internally in your Jira, and you can just not populate this particular team, tempo team. And then the generic plan feature that I mentioned earlier would basically create a new bucket here, kind of like your backlog of work, where all these tasks that are not assigned to a particular team would be displayed here as generic plans. And then you can start adding your team that is going to work on that particular plan later, right? So hopefully that will help to a certain degree, but I'm also very open to learn more about your use case and dive deep into it. If you want to book me, you can reach out to me after this webinar and we can explore that. But I believe
great. Thank you.
Generic plan should be able to help to a certain degree.
All right, awesome. Please explain the concept of commitment and what it does to the calculations.
So right now, the commitment field here is, so for each of the resources, this is the commitment field. So you can see there is like a 0 to 50, 0 to 100% commitment. You can just assign to a particular resource. This is only a visual indicator for now. It doesn't impact any of your capacity calculation. We used to have this field in a legacy feature that we deprecated earlier this year. So right now, we are actually thinking of hiding this commitment because I see a lot of customers or users get confused with this particular percentage value here. In terms of capacity calculation, it doesn't do anything. But it's still a visual reminder to the team managers to see if, let's say, Vivian is only 50% committed to this particular team. Once we had this feature supporting our legacy report, it was creating a bunch of issues because, like, for shared resources, they can be part of multiple teams with different capacity or commitment levels. And then that was creating a lot of problems in our reporting. So we are probably not going to continue with this feature.
Okay. When updating the FTE estimate via the new planning view, will it update the original estimate field on the JIRA issue?
That's correct. So let's see it in action. So I have this test project X, which has one FTE. One FTE is 360. Now, actually, let me just open it here as well so that you can see original estimate field. So here is 360. So we have a two-way sync here. So now let's say if you just make it 100 hours based on your, again, discussion from your team. Quickly sync it. I think it was this one. I have to just refresh my screen and I should be able to see that 100 hours here. So it's a two-way sync. Again, now I can just say, oh, it's going to take 4 weeks, which is 160 hours. I come here, sync it again. You will see that 0.4 should become 160 hours here from 100. So yes, it has, so Planner and Jira are in sync. Sometimes when you refresh the page, it automatically make all the changes, or you can manually sync it if you're working on multiple screens. You can just use the sync with Jira button.
All right, we have a live question.
Hi, hey, thanks, Marian, for that answer. My question is more towards the resource planning view. I realize the team, you have a two-way sync, but is that also true for resource?
I think these, so the resource plans are actually, they don't have this concept of original estimate based plans, but what we have here is the plan time, right? So these plan times are linked to a particular user story. So for example, let's take an example here. So we have a GRN2. So I have a plan for 8 hours. Actually, I'm trying to make sure that I demonstrate this properly. So let me create a new plan here.
Oh, suppose if I start from Jira, I create it from Jira and I import it through into resource.
Yeah, so it will still be respecting that. So for example, if you create a plan from here, let's say I'm going to do that right up.
Actually, from here, I don't go into the tempo tile. I'll go into the native Jira tile, if you understand. On the top right, you will have start date, due date, original estimate from there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this original estimate is not tied to your planned time for a resource, right? So this original estimate is only populating your team level plan. So this epic for this particular team has this original estimate as a high level plan. So it doesn't really impact any of the plans for a particular user because it's a team level plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I suppose if I flip the question towards resource level planning rather than team planning, if I'm not making use of the team level planning, I'm just making use of the resource.
Yes. So if you do that, if you want to, let's say you have this body of work, now you want to plan some time on your team members, like individual resource, then you have to create a plan first, because that's the data Tempo creates. It's like an added layer on top of the Jira data, right? So for example, I have this task for my engineering team. Now this task can be done by me or any other user that I have access to. And then when I create a planned time, let's say I'm supposed to work on July 25th for 4 hours. And if I create this plan, you can see this plan for 25th of July should be displayed in Where is 25th of July? So let me just refresh this quickly. So you can see on 25th, now I have that and this plan as well, right? So again, now if I need to change this number, I can change it here. So let's say it's instead of 4 hours, now I anticipate working 5 hours. This number, you can also see it change from that. And now here, if I again, oops. There is something is going wrong here. Not sure why, but the idea is
click on that. You can click on that add tempo to plan and track time on somewhere in the middle of the top. Yep, that's right.
I mean, it's already there.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah, but this was supposed to be 5 hours instead of that. But I can follow up on that. There may be a bug. This is like an internal instance. Sometimes there's some active development going on. But the idea is if you create a plan from the Jira issue view or inside any of the view, you can also leverage this in the team planning view. If you go to a weeks tab and you expand a particular team. So here you can see I just created that plan here. So I have 5 hours here, right? For July 20. So that plan will also be reflected inside your Jira issue view, or you can also see there is an option to see it in the report. So when I click on plan time report, it will automatically filter for that issue. And you can see, I don't know why it's showing 1 here. There might be a bug here, but it should be like, it was for 25th of July. So somewhere here. But here, yeah. And to answer your question simply, yes, it is always in sync.
Okay, thanks, man. I'll try that out.
Okay. All right. Unfortunately, we only have 2 minutes left. We do have lots of questions, so we'll be sure to go through them in our post-webinar report and make sure to provide answers to those. So I apologize for everyone again. If you missed a chance or we missed your question, we'll definitely get back and answer it. We did also link the roadmap. So our roadmap is public facing. You'll be able to see when new features are being released, when they're planned, and any updates to those dates as well. Mayank has kindly provided his email. So if you still have specific questions that you would like to discuss with him or specific use cases, you can definitely also reach out to him via email and schedule some time to talk. Mayank, I'm going to ask you to move to the next slide. Thank you. Again, we have linked a lot of resources that help you along the way with exploring a little bit more about team planning. We do have an amazing series of webinars coming up in September for newer integrations that we're offering. And finally, I want to thank everyone for their time today and all of their very valuable questions. Again, we will get back to you with answers to those questions. We apologize. We had 30 minutes allotted to answer, but there were a lot of questions. So thank you for that. Please remember to answer the pop-up survey. It helps us make this experience better for you. And also, if you would like to join the Tempo Lab, there's also an opportunity in that survey. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.